Recording in progress. Thank you for being here to the Payson City Council meeting for February 4th at 6 o'clock. I'll go ahead and open this meeting with prayer. Father in heaven, as we come before thee at this time, we are so very thankful for the involvement that thou hast in our lives. We are thankful that we've received some moisture, Father, and would ask thee to please continue to bless us with the water that we will need for the coming season. As citizens and council, mayor and council, we ask thee to please help us to make good decisions for the future of our fine city. Please help us and bless us with those goals in mind. And we say these things, Father, in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
We'll have the pledge by Council Moss.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ann. Ladies and gentlemen, what we thought we'd do, we'll take care of the council business from this vantage point, and then when we get down to the Joint Planning Commission and City Council work session, we'll move down and sit down at those tables. So we'll proceed that way. Go to the consent agenda, the approval of the February 18th, 2026 City Council minutes. Council, unless there's any discussion on this consent agenda, I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion been seconded. We'll start with roll call. Start with Council Smith.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Provost Guard.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to D, petitions. CTC Mayor's Youth Award, Shelby.
All right. When I say your name, please come up and introduce yourself with your name, grade, and dream job. From Mount Nebo Middle School, we have Brighton Hunziker.
I'm Brighton Hunsaker, and I'm in 7th grade, and my dream job is acting.
Teachers have said Brighton is one of the happiest students they have ever taught. He is always positive and very responsible. They can always count on him for anything that they might need. He is the kind of student who participates willingly, not just because he's asked to, but because he truly wants to learn and be involved. His strong work ethic shows in everything he does, whether it's a quick activity, a big project, or helping his classmates understand something new. He is also the first to offer a helping hand, often stepping in before anyone else even thinks to ask. Great job, Brighton. From Payson Junior High, we have Dane Zeman.
Hi, I'm Dane Zeman. I am in 9th grade, and my dream job is to be an engineer.
His teachers describe him as someone who is always polite and genuinely wants to do his best. Dane brings a positive attitude into the classroom and is the kind of student who helps create a welcoming environment for others. Dane is quick to participate in class, share his ideas, and ask thoughtful questions. His willingness to engage helps create a stronger learning environment for everyone. Dane's leadership comes through in the way he treats others with kindness, respect, and a positive attitude. He shows us that leadership isn't always about being the loudest voice in the room, but about setting a good example and helping others feel included. Great job, Dane.
One, two, three. If you're brave enough, you can walk up there so you don't get the tape. Council, let's shake hands, guys.
Okay, moving on, we'll go to number 2, the public forum. Anyone can speak on a subject that's not on the agenda. There's not too much on the agenda, so I guess it's wide open. So anyone who could come up and speak, please be cognizant of your time. And love to hear from you. Let us know who you are and where you're from. Come on up. You betcha.
Thank you. My name is Linda with a Y, Cameron. I am the president of People Preserving Petite Neat. Petite Neat is 125 years old this year. We are celebrating March 25th at 7 p.m. at the museum. We're showing off our new bathrooms.
I've been there. They're very nice.
They are
A
very
lot better than they
nice.
were.
Oh, much better. We will be showing a video of the restoration of the building. And we also have, when the building was 50 years old, several people were interviewed, and we have those interviews as well. So we have lots for you to see and do. And I am giving you a pen of Petite Neat 125. If you've been at the museum,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. What time is it? 7 p.m. on March
7 p.m. on March what?
25th.
7 p.m. on March 25th. Encourage everybody to come. That's quite a landmark for Payson City. Thank you. It is. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else like to come and take advantage of the public forum? Yes, sir. Come on up.
I just wanted to bring up, I'm a certified arborist with the company, and I'm also a member of the UCFC, which is the Urban Utah Forest Community Council. I don't know if you guys know that we are actually hosting in Payson the state tree climbing
Yes.
competition this year.
For the third time.
Yes, very awesome to have that here. I'm also a resident down here in Payson. I just wanted to kind of bring up and try and standardize a little bit of tree care. I noticed along Utah Avenue, we're seeing a lot of trees get topped and just not looking so good. And that's something that, as a member of this community, I'd really like to push forward on something like that, to standardize something and help out the community as much as possible.
Certainly can take a look at that. We're challenged a little bit with the ability to do some of that, but let your group we would love to maybe involve you in
Yeah,
something
and we're
like
doing a
that.
service day for the park to help out and do some trimming, and then I believe we're planning some.
When you say Utah Avenue, all the way down Utah Avenue?
Yeah, there's a bunch of top trees along
And
here.
there are a lot of them will be privately owned, and so that would be a work in progress, but certainly
Yeah.
we'd certainly like to take a look at it.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
what was your name, sir?
My name's Andrew Lathrop.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else like to address this in public forum? Emily, anybody online? Okay. Not seeing anyone else, we'll go ahead and close the public forum and open it for staff reports. Okay, Travis.
Mayor and council, Mayor already knows this, but I gave him a snow update today. It's looking great. we're about 80% for precipitation, so that's not horrible, but we're at 17% for snow water equivalent, and we have 4 inches of snow at 9,000 feet. So that's not great. We got a lot last week, but because we jumped up like 14 inches in that storm, but within like 4 days it all melted between the weather and just the rain and the temperature. So that's kind of where we're at. But just got to give you an update on that. So.
Thanks for the bad news,
Yeah,
Travis.
well, ladies and gentlemen, I put that information into my mayor's message. That's why I asked Travis for that information. We do have some time, but it's getting short.
2 weeks in a row. I apologize. This will get my quota for about 3 months, A couple things before we get Derek up here. I just want to, on the park, again, the golf course reopened, so we're fully going up there. We'll probably be fully not going in the morning, and then we'll fully be going when it melts again. So it's that time of year, but we've been busy when we've been open, so that's good. And they are moving on the short course. It's up there today. They're moving a lot of dirt. That's progressing, so that's fun. In the parks, next week, we should start the irrigation down on 930 West on the park towards the temple. So we'll start irrigation. That should last about a week to 2, and then we'll start topsoil, getting ready for when irrigation comes, and we'll sod that, put trees, so it should be buttoned up here in a couple months, so that's exciting. We'll start cutting salmon supper wood next Tuesday. That's something coming up. And then if you notice, we took down the 3 willows that we talked about at the council retreat. Those are down, so we'll get that all cleaned up. We're not going to jump right in and concrete or whatever. We're getting a bunch of eyes on that to try to revamp that kind of whole area and see what we can do to make that nicer. So that's coming up. And then the parks department's really jumped in down at the cemetery, helping clean and repaint the restrooms and the office. I mean, we'll try to make them look as nice. We need some. We've discussed a lot about a new building down there, but I appreciate the parks doing that, and we're trying to put our best foot forward there. Okay, with that, the exciting thing, Derek, come on up. This is Derek Waite. He's worked for us in the parks for 3, 4. I always 2.5 years. Okay, I always say like a year, and it's been 5 years, but we're pleased to announce Derek is the new sexton. So I'm going to give him the mic. First, I'll brag about him a little bit in parks. We're going to miss him in parks, but luckily, with how we run our departments, we commingle so much, we'll still use him. And he's very willing that. To be fair, and I'll tell Dave knows this, I thought there's no way we're going to hire in-house. I'm like, we got to go through the process. We're going to let everyone try, but we're going to get someone that we don't know. But it was unanimous that Derek was the right person at this time. I think he gets how important it's not just a position. It's something more special than a position. So we're so happy to have him, and I'll let you kind of introduce your wife and son and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. So I brought my wife, Chandler Waite.
Please stand up. Embarrass you.
This was council member Hyatt's daughter, so that just recently left. And then my son, Brexton Waite.
Thank you for standing.
He's the middle one. The other 2 are out doing other things. So I have 2 more, but yeah, they're busy. So no, I'm really excited to get down to the cemetery. I feel like it's such a special place in the city where it's filled with millions of memories. So I feel like it's my goal to welcome people and get them there and let them enjoy that property where their loved ones are at. So
wonderful.
Yes.
Was aware this was in the works, and I'm tickled to death. And I'm sure the council is as well.
Well, for a lot of us here, that'll be our last address.
That's right.
And I'll make it nice for you.
We appreciate your dedication because it is a special place.
Yes, it is. And I'm excited to make it better. So thank you.
Wonderful. Derek.
Yeah. Thanks.
You got to come up, Carl. I know you do.
Couple of things, Mayor and Council and public. For your information, over the weekend, the Sportsman software we use did go down. That was kind of a nationwide thing for that recreation software. It is up and running now. We put out post Monday first thing and got inundated with lots of phone calls, and that was fun for a few days as well. We are registering for baseball, and that started on Monday, and nobody wanted to miss out. Then they thought it would fill. We did fill soccer, and we have plenty of people on a wait list. But that is up and running, and we have plenty of room for baseball registrations. On that note, soccer will be dividing teams next week, having evaluations, and then start games in a couple weeks on that. High school sports have started, and we're assisting them, and they'll start playing games on our fields as far as softball goes now as well. So we're also starting to get the pool ready for the season. Hiring process will start here in a couple weeks as well. So thank you. I wanted to invite all of you with Donna to our feasibility study on the library, the open house we're going to have. I will give you a flyer as well, and public as well, and all those listening online. Help us imagine our future library. This is an opportunity to explore the possibilities of what we can do with a new library. And so we look for feedback from the public at large. So invite your friends and neighbors as well. And Mayor Council, please reach out for people as well. This will be March 16th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. in the public library. And we'll have pizza there and other things. And so you can see what the library does as well. If you haven't been there in a while, please come to that as well. But I'll give you a flyer so you have that. Thank you. Oh, one more thing of note, April Jones in our office, Anna Stopper, our senior director, and myself will be at the Utah Recreation and Parks Association conference next week for the week. Yeah, we'll be back Wednesday night or Thursday morning. So, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Carl.
Mayor and Council, I just wanted to jump up really quickly and give a couple shout outs. As you know, the legislature is going on right now, and my favorite day of the legislature is Friday because it ends. But I just wanted to publicly express my appreciation for everybody that goes and participates. Many of you know the mayor has been going twice a week, every week. Our police chief, Sean, a bunch of people. Payson has quite a bit of influence in what goes on up there, and it's because of everybody that shows up. And so I just wanted to give a quick shout out and let you know that there have been some bills that have actually been stalled in committee or killed in committee that were not good. And it really happens because of the efforts of all of those people. So thank you very much. There are some good things as well that are going to come out of the legislature, but I have been very impressed at how involved our community has been in the legislative process, and it really makes a big difference. So there will be a bunch of updates that Brandon will give you later on. I'm not even going to touch that. But anyway, just wanted to say thanks.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that, something to that too. The League of Cities and Towns is very, very important. It's an important organization that we have belonged to for quite some time. And we can, they have a very good working relationship with the senators and representatives, and many times point out unintended problems with some of the bills. And thankfully, our representatives listen. And so well over 1,000 bills were introduced. Thankfully, not 1,000 bills got passed, but well, I guess we still got Friday. But it is quite a process. So thank you, Robert. Shall we?
Mayor and Council, I just want to let you guys know that South County Cares, our Communities That Care Coalition, we are now able to do car seat checks. And so 70% of car seats that people have are installed incorrectly. And so that causes lots of problems, and it's not as safe for the child, and it's not as safe in a crash. And so on our Communities That Care page on the website. You can schedule an appointment to get your car seat checked, and I'll check the car seats. So that's a great thing. A lot of people think fire stations are where you go to get your car seat checked, but that's not true. Most fire stations don't actually have a certified tech. So this is great that we can offer it to our residents now.
So we now have a car seat person out of you, Shelby. That's great.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you for your dedication, Shelby. It takes a lot of time to do that, so appreciate you. Chief Spencer.
He's coming up to defend his car seat checking skills.
Yeah, heck yes. Yeah, we did have one for quite a while, but he retired, so we haven't put anybody in place because there's, for us, not a big demand, but it's an important thing. So maybe we'll have to look into getting somebody certified again to help them out. Just a couple of things. So we're in the fire working on wildland recertification. We have to do that every year. As you know, with the moisture, and like Travis said, there's not a lot. My son got stuck on a tree as we was up the canyon 2 weeks ago. I got stuck on a rock because there's not a lot of snow cover. So it's about 18 inches, which is not a lot for this time of year. We're also Friday and Saturday, if any of you are interested, we're doing advanced cardiac life support. We need volunteers so we can try different types of rounds of drugs and shocking people and seeing how all that works and if it's effective or not.
Yes.
Thankfully, I'll be out of town.
Unfortunately, it's none of the good narcotics, but epi and atropine and all the other stuff. But also, just let you know, we had a good meeting this morning on Station 92. Going through the FF&E stuff, determining which is part of the project and which items are not part of the project that we have to look at funding ourselves. And so that's good to get a better picture of that, and a little clearer picture of where we're at. We'll know in 2 weeks with the S&D determination. That'll give us a better idea of where we're at cost-wise on the station. So we look forward to that meeting in a couple of weeks and give us a really good idea in that. Hopefully we're under budget or right there where we need to be. So we've got some good crews working with us, and as we're still finalizing a lot of the things in the different areas, it's coming along. And so we're excited for that and that whole area there. So we appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Okay. Any other staff? Not seeing any, we'll move to council reports. We'll move to Lacey. Would you like to start us off?
I just have one thing, and it's hopefully this is the spot to bring it up. I've had something on my mind a lot. So I met with Travis last week to kind of ask questions and learn some different things. And I know it was kind of discussed before I came on about doing a utility study that's already included in our budget. And again, before anything is said, it's not to be done so that we can then increase rates for our residents. It's with the sewer project underway, anticipated upgrades throughout the town, and continued growth. I think having that updated data will help us and future council members know where our systems stand and what we should plan for in the future, just so that we're very informed and proactive. And then I'd also in that study like to review whether the rates where we charge outside communities that utilize our sewer system are still appropriate, given the additional costs that we're taking on as a city with the sewer plant. And since the study is already in our budget, then I think it'd be a good time to include that this year, because Travis said it could still take about 8 months or so, and by the time we get that information, we're already 8 months down the road. So he said it was in our budget, but it had kind of been discussed before that not necessarily needed right now, just because we don't plan on increasing rates, but we do need to know so that we're not stuck where we are again in 5-10 years.
Yep, information's good.
Yeah, so that was just my thoughts about that. I'd like to
Wonderful.
try to get that going. So
Anything else? Okay.
no, thanks.
Ryan.
Thanks, Mayor, and thank you, Lacey. Good items that you bring up, and And yeah, on that study, I've never seen a study come back and say we can lower rates, and that's why we're always so slow to do it. But yeah, we have no appetite to raise rates. We love the data, but we're not using it to raise rates. I like that. I do want to thank Sean, our power director, and Councilwoman Moss that went to Washington, D.C. I was able to go as well. We went with the American Public Power Association, and we went there and had meetings and lobbied with our Utah delegation, talked about everything power related, nuclear, data centers, AI, lead times, permitting reforms, transmission lines, all of that. And it was very informative, very useful to be out there and bend their ears and hopefully get some more funding and also some more common sense coming in the power world. I want to thank the departments that helped out with the fence on Salem Canal Road, the police department and developmental services as well that helped with the fence that had some posts that were obstructing visibility on Salem Canal Road, and we got that addressed. I went down there and drove down there, and it's a lot safer. So thank you everyone that helped out with that. Also, thanks to the development services, particularly Marty, that helped out with the carport situation for the food truck by Zions Bank. She treated them with good respect and patience and kept the human element, and we came to a good conclusion. And I'm so grateful that we were able to treat them nice and keep that human element, and also not allow them to no longer break the law or obstruct the road as well. And huge shout out and thanks to our new sexton. Congratulations. I loved that you mentioned that that's a special place. And Tracy, you mentioned too that it's not just a position. This is something much bigger. The cemetery and what goes on there is a sacred trust for everybody involved. It's where families go to mourn and to gather and to remember. And so as we continue to elevate that space, it's what all the residents deserve. So thank you for coming into it with such passion. Please keep that passion and that love. That needs to be a safe, sacred space for people to enjoy. And I want Payson Cemetery to be a hallmark of what other cemeteries can be. And I look forward to you getting to know the funeral directors and working well with them and communicating with them. So really, thank you for taking this on. I think it's timely. And Tracy, thank you as well. That's everything I had. Thank you, Mayor.
You bet. Ann?
I echo what Ryan said about the trip to DC. It was a very informative, exciting, and wonderful experience. My first time to DC. You can feel the history there, but I learned a lot about power. Spent a lot of time with these guys. My husband went to 17 hours to get out there because our flight was canceled. So that was an adventure. Traveled all night long. But I learned a lot, and meeting with our congressman and congresswoman and our senators from Utah was great, and listening to our power director and others persuade them on certain bills for or against. It was really an awesome experience to be involved in that. I'd like to also, just today, the beginning of our city council, it came to my mind that I'm just really grateful that we live in a city and we have a government here in this city that welcomes prayer and saying the pledge. After going to DC and just being surrounded by our country's history, everywhere you look, you can feel it. It just kind of makes you a little bit more grateful for the freedoms that we enjoy and that we welcome patriotism and God into our lives. So, and again, thanks to all the staff. I met with Anders and Jill yesterday. They're doing a lot of good work with planning what we're going to talk about after this and also other things. And they're working really hard. Seems like round the clock. You guys feel like you live here. But thanks for all the work that you do and of course the rest of the staff too. So thank you very much. That's all I've got.
And could I tag on just a little bit with what you said? Just today, I was talking with a lady that said, hey, we live in a bubble and it's a good bubble. We're thankful for being able to live here. Let's protect that bubble. So thank you for mentioning that. Bob?
I've had opportunity to be in the building the last few days, and I want you to know I'm so appreciative of our staff. Every office that I stopped in, some I had business with or questions with, but others I just stopped in to say hello, and you guys are killing it. It's wonderful to come in. I had the opportunity to hear the front desk deal with an issue and how well they handled that. Would administration please let the staff know? Main floor, second floor, just tops, and I appreciate it. A big shout out to the staff up on Main Street, even though there's not a lot for them to do this time of year. I see those two gentlemen up there just cleaning up and putting the rocks back in the river and what have you. It's just great to be a council member that can go and see the positive things that are taking place in our community. So big shout out to all of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Council. Okay, we've come to that point in our meeting that we do not have any action items, so we'll move on to F, and that's the Joint Planning Commission and City Council work session to discuss the Payson Parkway area specific plan. So we'll go ahead and move down to the table and just take a few minutes to do that.
Second.
Should we bring our microphones? Yes, bring our microphones down.
This is a bring your own microphone party.
Yep.
And yeah. Do that. Yes. I don't know lost.
Oh. I don't care. You want to sit here or wherever.
We're just gonna say we like the
Anybody else want some water? Oh, good. Let's hope I wouldn't get ignored. What you got left? Oh, yeah.
I can go find you whatever.
No, that's good. That's good.
All right, I'll go ahead and kind of introduce what we're doing here, get us started. So this is a work session we have the City Council and the Planning Commission to talk about the Payson Parkway Small Area Plan. We're going to hear from Dan Wayne, who is with the Mountain Land Association of Governments. He's going to kind of introduce this plan and other planning efforts we have in the area. And then we'll hear from Chris Hupp, who's with SOMAS, and they're the consultant team that's been working on this project. So I don't know if Dan, if you have a microphone or you can.
I just wanted to say, while we've got the Planning Commission in front of the City Council, thank you. You guys are awesome. We appreciate the hard work and you're kind of the rubber meets the road for us. Thank you, what you're doing. You're really appreciated.
Okay, don't have to hold it. All right. Good evening, Mayor and council member and everyone else here in attendance. My name is Dan Wayne. I'm the Community Planning and Economic Development Manager for MAG, the Mountain Land Association of Governments. And I didn't realize it at the time when I was in middle school, like these young men at the beginning of the meeting, but what I wanted to do when I grew up. But I am doing my dream job, I think. Now, and I think one of the reasons why is because I get to work with wonderful cities and wonderful staff. I don't need to tell you that, on wonderful projects that help communities address some of their growth and development related challenges and really find context sensitive ways to strengthen their communities and make the best of what they have and overcome whatever challenges that they have. And we do that through these technical assistance to governments, or TAG program grant awards. And I've had the privilege to provide several of those over the last couple years to the city. And I'm really proud to have been involved, to be involved in these projects and the outcome of these projects. I'm going to let them, talk all about, the specifics of those projects. But I just wanted to come here personally and just commend your staff for the good work that they've done on these plans. I think the subject today is obviously the Payson Parkway Small Area Plan. But as you consider this plan, and if maybe there's some things that you would rather have maybe a little more of or a little less of in this plan, I just encourage you to look at this plan in the context of the Main Street Gateway Plan and the Station Area Plan, and how collectively all of these plans work together to help meet the diverse needs and expectations within your community. And again, just happy to be involved in it, and encourage you to continue to partner with us. Not only through the end of this project, but in the future as you incorporate these small area plans into your general plan. And then as you seek implementation of these plans, we have a new application that we're considering right now, for example, to do some trigger sites, some catalyst projects on Main Street. We'd love to do those kind of projects, and looking forward to many more in the future. So thank you for a few minutes of your time.
All right. Well, it's been a little bit since we have been able to chat and have some of the charrettes. We wanted to come back and talk about the progress that's been made. Again, thanks to the individuals in this room as well. I have to echo some of the sentiments. I work in a lot of cities in Utah, and I'll have to be honest, some I like better than others. This is one of the ones that I like better than others. So I have the opportunity to have quite a few public hearings, and some cities are a lot more cohesive, and this is one of the cities that meets that. There's a lot of cohesiveness as far as staff is concerned. There's a lot of synergy with the thoughts that they have that meet what you talk about, and the plans that are coming together. There's a lot of thoughtful, forward-thinking approach to this that will help secure this lasting future here. That being said, we want to dive in a little bit and give a very brief overview of this agenda. We're going to go over the project timeline just so that everyone understands where we were, where we are, and generally where we're going. We'll address some of the project areas that are currently in planning or review phases. Overview of the study area, previous concepts that we worked on together, the current, essentially the preferred scenario that we have at this point, a little bit on economics and land use. Brian, we're hitting with you today a little bit, and the rest, obviously. The area plan identity, and we're touching on that in a few different spots.
and then transportation and land use we'll touch on as well. That being said, as we go through this process, I feel free to interrupt me if you have a question. We like to do those as we go along, so this can be more of a dialogue and a discussion as opposed to presentation and then, oh wait, what was my question again? Just ask, and we'll be able to talk through those. That said, here's the general overview of our project timeline. Kickoff in January 2025. We went through that existing condition and site analysis, looking at the property, looking at the opportunities, looking at the other area plans, and I'll touch on that in a future slide. But looking at the other area plans, how the transportation, how the original name of this was the Nebo Beltway, but has since transitioned to Payson Parkway for this segment. But
we're glad for that.
Everyone is.
Too many Nebo things around here. So Payson Parkway is great.
And there's some other names that were slipped in at times, and Payson Parkway is great. So that being said, we went through that. We had some stakeholder interviews, a few charrettes as we went through to sort of refine the concept, get an idea of what we want this area to look like, and the general sense of this. Again, there's been a lot of planning in other areas that allows us to be a little bit more visionary in this location, and the state mandates are being addressed in other locations. So we have a little more leeway in this location. So we've been going through that. There went through some staff review, continuing to work on the document, and we're here to present sort of the progress to date, so that we can sort of get closer to that finished draft and make sure that we're still on the right page together. So that said,
Chris, could I just inject something?
Please do.
Where I sit on the board for the South County front runner stations, we have an opportunity here that many of the communities north of us do not have. It's virgin land, so to speak, and we've got some flexibility that other communities didn't have. So we need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, exactly. And the exciting thing with essentially a blank canvas is it's really difficult for a lot of people to jump into a blank canvas and say, this is what it's going to be, because innovation comes by the novelty of something and its ability to solve problems. And so as you all came together to sort of do that with this blank canvas, it's been quite interesting to see the things that you're able to come up with and the pretty end result that we're working towards because of the work that this group has done and the city as a whole. So here's a little overview of the different plans that are have been in the works. The red boundary is the city boundary, and there's a giant rectangle. I think we all understand that as future is going to be part of the city, obviously. The blue area is obviously the station area plan that is adopted, finished up close to, yeah, I knew it was somewhere in that area. But it's close. You'll see that it does come across I-15. It does sort of overlap a little bit with the downtown gateway plan, which is also close to the finishing line there. And then the green dash is the study area that we've been looking at. As a side note, the same group is working on the downtown gateway plan, so there's great synergy between those. We're also, as an understanding piece, we're working with Salem for their general plan. So we have a lot of understanding about this region. In addition to that, the Payson Parkway, or the full Nebo Beltway project that's being done with MAG and with UDOT and with Utah County, and there's several stakeholders as part of that. That's also being done by one of the sub-consultants that's part of this team. So there's a lot of understanding about the planning that's going into this that we're going to talk about tonight to help keep this moving forward and keep it synergistic with all the efforts that are happening. Any questions with this or? Wonderful. Okay. This is the study area. So obviously we have a plan view on the right-hand side and then sort of an ISO view on the left-hand side. Generally, we're talking about a little over 1,000 acres running from I-15, a little over SR 198 down to 100 South, both east and west of Payson Parkway. a huge, and I'm going to use this term, greenfield opportunity, meaning vacant parcels that we can really imagine what's there. One of the big pieces of this is looking at the context and how this blends with existing surroundings. In addition to that, finding something that is sort of this legacy area where we can continue to maintain the character and culture of the community. And as we talked about that in that first charrette, and even refined it a little bit more in that second charrette, we've come up with some visioning images or imagery and some ideas of the words that and the idea that was established here. And as we went through that, a little bit of a lag, this is the wetlands and the natural state of this area needs to be maintained and preserved as we go through this. And so we really wanted to, as we talk brand and as we talk image of this area, that is and should be a prominent piece from what we heard in this group. And so we're really trying to reinforce that with the document and with the development standards or design standards that we're looking at with this area, but making that a prominent piece of what's here. You have amazing views, and to block those or to turn away from those would be a disservice to the community. And even to turn away from, there are significant wetlands and constraints with that. But a lot of people can see those as constraints and not look at the flip side of the coin, that they're amazing amenities if used properly or if integrated properly. And so that is some of the idea and imagery that goes into what we've been working together on and what we've been talking about. And so I just wanted to touch on that briefly. Whoops. There we go. There we go. Okay. So that was general open space as far as how the feel is. Okay. It might jump around a little bit. This is the residential side of it. How those residents can look, how they can feel. As we talk to everyone, generally we weren't looking at half acre or these massive estate lots. We were looking at detached product throughout the majority of this area. And what I mean by detached is your traditional single family homes that don't share a wall. That's a big piece of what should occur here. There are some areas for some attached product to occur when we buffer some of the commercial and other areas like that. But the majority of this area is intended to be this, because we've looked at the station area, because we've looked at the downtown a little bit, and some of these other key locations where we can meet the state mandate and the affordability issue that's drastically prevalent for all of us. And so those other areas sort of address that. And so it gives us some opportunity and some flexibility to create beautiful communities that continue the heritage here. And so you'll get a sense of that. And we were intentionally in the modeling and things that were done on these images, we intentionally put water in all of them so that it would be a more obvious component of this plan. The integration of that and the trails and those connected networks are a vibrant piece of what should come out of this. You also notice that as we model, we take a little creative liberty. You won't see those views everywhere. And right now there's tons of snow up there. Just kidding. So we took a little creative liberty with some of those, but the general idea and the prospect here is what we're trying to get across with this vision that this group established. Continue on with the commercial. As we went through that charrette, we talked about what do we want this commercial to look like? And the major theme here was there is a little bit of opportunity for this neighborhood commercial, this a little on the boutique side of it, not fully, but a little bit on that boutique side so that we can get to the services, we can get to these other type of users and create a different commercial feel for these areas that would be synergistic with the other existing commercial character in other locations like 800 South and in our gateway area. So we've addressed that. And then it's not a lipstick on a pig per se, but you have a lot of these traditional commercial, well, Orem is a great example of, should I say this out loud, ugly commercial. We as a group came up with the idea of, if we put the box out on the front, enhance the architecture a little bit, and have some key features, it changes it from this massive parking field to a place that people would want to come, and a little bit more of a draw. And so there's a modern commercial box and a modern commercial look that this group had talked about. And so that's what we're trying to get at with that right image. So that's a more regional look, and the other one's more of that neighborhood commercial that would be closer to 198. Any questions with that? Yeah.
Well, one of the things did you have?
Go ahead, Mayor.
One of the things that you said, it was really stuck in my mind. We needed to design this. Nobody's going to get everything they want, but we want to get as close to that as we can and still meet those mandates, because they're real, that the state has, and they're codified in the legislature. So I think that's really important, that we realize that we do have some power, but we might have to swallow a little bit too.
Right. And that's oh, sorry, you go ahead.
No, you can answer.
I was just going to respond with, it's very smart and forward thinking to know that where this body gets their power is from the state government. And if you give them the bird, they may take some of that back. And there's been some talk of that. And so it's very smart to say, hey, we know that these are mandates. Let's figure out how we can realistically incorporate them, but keep our identity. So
Yeah, I know there's ways to do that. So
right, there are.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like the look of the one on the right. I love the parking in the rear, and then everybody has to walk around to get to the gathering place, and all the storefronts are there facing each other. I really like that look and that feel of that commercial layout right there. I think that could attract a lot of potential for Payson.
Keep in mind, these are renderings. I'm not promising that's exactly what it'll look like, but,
I know, but I'm saying
generally
I do
we'll
like
have
that. That's
principles.
why I'm
Yeah,
bringing it up.
exactly. Wonderful. And this is what the group more or less was leading towards, that type of a feel where, yes, obviously you're going to have parking. You need it at the end of the day, but how can we create a great space for people to actually shop and dine and do the things that they would want? So thank you for that. Any other feedback or comments or questions before we move on? Great. That said, here is there we go. Here's the first version. This was that first charrette that we talked about way back when, so that we wanted to give some sort of a land use that would give you the sense and ability to respond. Oh, we like this, maybe change that, make this a little bit bigger, change this up. So this was that first concept that we presented. And we did a fairly brief synopsis. And I know after this meeting, there was a few groups that said, just ignore the rest of the plans. Ours is the best. But with multiple groups saying that, we had to blend them together. And so we did our best to try and find synergy between the things that we heard. So here's some of the major comments that were brought up during that. So clustering the development so that we can preserve some of the wetlands, and focusing these commercial intensities instead of all along the corridor. Let's focus in key nodes. You'll see those in those red circles. And then some adjustments to the land uses where it would make more sense to potentially fill in some gaps and change so that we can blend better with existing development. So this was that first version, some of the feedback that we received, providing the range of housing and some of the missing middle and step up housing and upper echelon housing as well, creating the connected trails and these systems that can really facilitate and make you feel like you're in a great place. The regional park and civic center, we put this as a bullet point. You'll notice as we move from this to the next one, these circles indicate where the major changes happen. And that will be the same as we go through these next few slides. But one of the big pieces here that we wanted to be very careful and protective of the city, when you start to showcase exact locations of something, the property owner's like, well, the price just doubled. So we wanted to protect against that. So you will notice that we don't show a specific civic center, and we also don't show the future fire station. In the document, we talk about it can go in this location. Here's some of the parameters that we want to look to, but it gives a little bit more flexibility to protect the city from any kind of negotiation nightmare. So hopefully that makes sense. And yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Brown would be a higher density residential, and yellow also residential. The darker the color, the higher the density.
Yeah, so thanks for that. Green is open space in the wetlands and other things of that nature. That pink color, the reddish color, is the commercial. Brown is strictly attached. That could be a duplex up to an apartment or whatever. And we talked about those. There may be some opportunity for a little bit of apartment, but for the most part, we're avoiding that around the neighborhood commercial areas and some of those other things. And we can dial into that a little bit more. But that attached, it even transitions as we go through these, and the types of products that were ideal for this group we're taking into consideration as we move through this. An apartment wasn't one of them. So just to be clear.
And what's the light tan color then?
The yellow color?
The lightest color.
The lightest color.
That is detached.
Okay.
You can see that's the majority of the plan. And that's what I was referring to earlier. Orange is mixed residential, which means attached product and detached product can go in there. There's a few of those things that are currently happening up in the Northeast. Already approved some developments and things like that. So that's sort of mixing between attached and detached transition areas. Yellow is specifically detached product. So traditional, a range of types of product. So yes, thanks for that. And thanks for the clarification on the land use. Those colors stay the same. So as we go through this, that won't change, but the way that they're allocated does. So jumping from this one to this one, you'll notice up in the Northeast, the yellow piece goes to orange because that's existing. And so we made some adjustments there. We changed the way the open space shows. You'll also notice that the commercial comes down Payson Parkway. I'll go back and forth so you can see that. And we also put the commercial along I-15 frontage all the way down to Paris RV. So that was a shift that happened there. And then on the south side, instead of a major node on the four corners of that intersection, we start to elongate it, which is a more natural take to commercial. And so you'll see some of those adjustments there. We also fill in around is it a WIC facility, if I remember correctly? That blue piece. So that's filled in with mixed residential. So that's attached and detached. But commercial comes along the corridor. There were some comments that said, hey, what if we make the outside of the commercial, what if we put some mixed attached and detached product there as well? You'll see that gets integrated. Not quite in this phase yet, but it does get integrated. So it's not like we said, well, these are the definitive. We just made some decisions, did this with steering and some of the other committees to just go through and edit that. After the second charrette, here are some of the feedbacks. There's a little bit more changes. The majority of these changes happen on the periphery of the project so we can better understand what's happening there and integrate with them. Yes, please do.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
No,
the more you
feel free.
talk, then I'm going to get more unsure. For someone that has not been in the whole process, can you explain? I know where I-15 is. What's the far east, like the bottom, the far east road, and north and south, and then obviously the parkway I get, but the other white lines, are those upcoming wanting roads? Are they like, because I'm very familiar with the more east area, and so I'm trying to figure out how far it's going down.
Yeah,
Just
so
curious.
100 South is the far south road. The next road up is 198. The next road up is your existing fourth. Sorry, yeah, thank you.
This is the hospital, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
198.
Correct. And then the big diagonal towards the north, just so you can orient yourself a little bit better, that is Arrowhead. In between,
The one in the kind of mostly in the middle.
Yeah.
Upper middle.
I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure how far down.
And then the not the furthest left, but there's three sort of angular grids. The one on the left is Nebo Beltway.
Yeah.
Payson Parkway. Thank you. I'm still trying to transition that. We said it for so long that it takes some time. But yeah, that's
the one
Payson
that comes
Parkway.
off the freeway, everybody.
That's the interchange.
And that's the one that's going to be built starting in 2027.
Correct.
Yep. That's the one that UDOT's building.
The others
On
don't
2 lanes of
exist,
it.
but are
Yeah.
grid roads
That we're looking
to help.
And Lacey, the spacing is what's required by UDOT.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah.
The spacing is what's required by UDOT. The interior roads we can have after you get off the parkway, they can be much smaller, much more frequently. But that's the spacing that can come off the parkway, period.
As far as access, and this includes.
Actually, these, if I'm understanding it right, they're collector roads.
Yeah, these would be collectors. Payson Parkway is obviously arterial, but the rest are generally collectors. 198 classification's a little bit higher, but generally that's what we're talking about here.
Right. And the only way to get off the parkway.
That's fine. I mean, I'm thinking of other cities of how theirs work. I just wanted to familiarize myself with because I first saw your I saw your very first picture, and it's a little further north than this because I know that because I saw exactly where my horse is at, and I was like, wait, where is this? And so I wanted to know how far north and which way it was going. That was my.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I'm thinking of the right.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And we probably should have labeled these. I've looked at it so much that it's like, yeah, of course these are the roads, but yeah, for sure.
So I'm like sitting here wasting my time.
Well, and the cemetery that we talked about, there's opportunity for expansions and other things like that. But yeah, there's a lot of great opportunity here, and so we wanted to show the border of the city so that it's a little bit more obvious what's going on. Shift residential uses on the south side. You'll notice that's according to some of those previous comments in Charrette 1, we actually take those in at this point, and then a little bit more detailed land uses in some key areas. So yeah, for sure. There we go. So now we're starting to show you, this is where we're at essentially today. You'll see in that gray circle up in the top, that's the half-mile radius for the station area. Again, Paris RV is part of the gateway plan. And so all of that's part of the gateway plan that you're seeing those land uses. And some of those are existing. You got the church on the corner that sort of pizza cuts out of this area. Again, you'll see the rectangle that's currently out of the city, but this is generally that plan. The pink looks a little bit purple here, but that's neighborhood commercial on the bottom along 198. We start to classify and distinguish this a little bit differently according to the results of Charrette 1 and Charrette 2, so that the character of these two commercial centers are different. Regional commercial up above and more of a neighborhood commercial where you're getting grocer and other things like that on the south. So there's a good opportunity on either side. There's also, I didn't notice, or I didn't mention this in the previous, but you'll see there's that sort of swoop road to that's just next to I-15, a little bit southeast of I-15. That's essentially the frontage road. And I don't know, Travis, if you want to talk about that one at all, or if that's enough, but that's essentially the frontage road. These are the lighted intersections. We're going to show the transportation plan. There are additional crossings of Payson Parkway that are not full motion. And what I mean by that is it's not a lighted intersection. You can't go wherever you want. It's a right in, right out, essentially. And so there's some additional access points here as well. Any questions with that? In addition to that, you also see our simple statistical summary as far as how these acreages make up this plan. So with that said, you want to look at this a little bit more? Are we okay to move? And we'll obviously provide this so that you can deliberate on it a little bit more. I get this first time, so you may not be able to take it all in. We understand that.
Are any grade separated crossings envisioned in there?
Right. No, no grade separated vehicular crossings. No. Pedestrian, yeah, we'll get at that, and we'll show the active transportation. There are some essentially underpasses where coming off of the Payson Parkway coming down, because you have the bridge over I-15, that will be coming down and sort of meeting. So it's an interchange, like it's what you would expect it to be. So that's part of the reason why you won't see crossings closer to I-15. You can't unless you want to do a Carvana and lift all the cars up and then access. That doesn't really work. Just look at Carvana's model.
Wait for George Jetson.
Oh, yeah, you could
Or
do that
fight
too.
UDOT, and that's not going to work either.
Yeah. Good luck with that. We did fight UDOT, specifically methods. Went to bat for the city for some of these crossings and things because that was fun. They did a great job. Going a little bit further, I wanted to dig in briefly into some of the economics and land use analysis. And we did this just to give you a sense because there were some questions about, are we over allocating commercial? Realistically, we were already very careful because when you show X amount of commercial, it's much easier to add more than to take away in terms of this group. You're a lot happier when we add than take away. So we wanted to start a little bit more on a conservative approach and continue to add as we understood with our analysis. We did an early analysis and we've since done an analysis on this. That being said, that's sort of where we get to with this. Approximately 15,500 new residents with, again, it's 1,000 acres, so there's quite a bit. And we're assuming anywhere from a 3.7 to 4 residents per unit, a little bit over 4 per unit in some of these circumstances. So there's a little bit of variety in that based on if it's detached, if it's mixed, or if it's detached. So we ran some metrics on that so we can get an understanding. 308.75 million in annual household retail spending in the area. That's a big number. As far as captured locally, currently we got a 35% capture rate on some of that. As commercial builds out, your capture rate will go up. And for those who may not understand capture rate, that means if every resident had $100, how much of that are you capturing in the city, and how much of that is leaving the city? So the higher your capture rate, the more money or tax revenue you're keeping in the city. So hopefully maybe that's a little oversimplification, but that's generally what we're talking about with that.
So how'd you run that number? What do you compare it to other cities, or where do you get that capture rate, that dollar amount from?
So what happens, LRB is our sub-consultant part of this team. They're a financial and analyst group that looks at this. They look at the state available data as far as spending, taxable sales, all of these things, revenues, demographics. There's a lot that goes into that. So they look at all these and they say, of the dollars that could be spent in the city, this is what's actually being spent in the city. And then they take some analysis of that and say, well, for these types of sales, you're probably spending 100 million, and 100 million is being spent in the city, or 80 million is being spent in the city. So you have $20 million that's leaving the city, and then those capture rates are run off of those metrics. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I'm curious, is 35%, that's to the untrained eye, to me, that seems a little low. I would hope to capture more than that. So curious your take on
I
that.
think the way that would come up is to have more
commercial.
Yes. More options for people so you stay home and can capture that more.
Yeah,
right.
We'll start with,
Yes.
start with 100% commercial in the areas to begin.
Continue to increase as we develop out.
Right. When
In theory, the gravity would pull in more from outside too.
Yeah. At full build out, this is not a number based on like near term. This is this is a number based on near term, not full build out. And that's what they're talking about. And the reason why is because we're seeing this as a regionally significant location. And that's why, as you look at this commercial capacity, it's 181.2 acres of commercial land, approximately 1.97 million square feet at a 0.25 floor area ratio. Ton of stuff. Let me explain. If you're looking at, for simple math, let's say we have 10 acres. 10 acres, if you're looking at a 0.25 or 25% of a floor area ratio, if you have 1,000 square feet, how much of that would be in an actual commercial building? That's the floor area ratio. Does that make sense? Everyone? Oh, perfect. Okay. So if it's 1,000, 25% is 250, right? So that's what we're talking about there. Of an acre, 25% will be a commercial building, and that's where we get the 1.97 million square feet. So that's the math that goes there. And then as far as your annual sales capacity for full build out is $4 to $5 million of annual sorry, yeah. Not 4 to 5. 4 to 500 million. Few decimal places over and we're there. So that's generally what we're looking at a more full build out. Pretty substantial. That regional facility, and we'll talk about this in a little bit more in this relationship. The residential demand provides this built-in customer base. So we looked at the built-in customer base. If you're assuming 20 square feet per resident, and that's generally the number that we take, COVID messes some stuff up, and so the number fluctuates and online sales adjusts, but generally we're still looking at around 20 square feet per person as far as what's supportable commercial. So that 15,500 new residents only supports a portion of that. But because of its regional significance and sort of the sub-regional significance of 198 and Payson Parkway, you're going to have regional draw. And that's where we get with the second bullet point. Benjamin, Elk Ridge, Woodland Hills, Santaquin, Spring Lake, West Salem, Arrowhead, like the developments along Arrowhead Payson Station area. There will be some commercial up there, but with this regional draw on the southeast side, there will be some pool there, and the commercial types are going to be a little bit different between those. Payson Parkway future phases, existing Payson residents will come here too. We're wanting to be careful with 800 South and the Gateway area, and so we're trying to figure the best approach economically to make each of these viable centers and really make a snapshot or a niche for each of them so they can blend together. And so that's what we've been working through. But there's a huge capture area, and it probably goes even beyond this because you are the furthest sort of south real city. And I say real city because population. Let's be honest, Santaquin is yeah.
We won't say anything about that, Santaquin, right?
Yeah. They know it. Yeah. But Nephi is a little down there, so you've got some space, and as it continues to build out, you've got a lot of regional capture. Think Spanish Fork, and not in terms of how they've did I say this out loud? Ruined their culture. There's a big regional draw to this location that we can really capture with some of these and additional. And then the Payson Parkway provides the visibility and access because of this new interchange. There's a really awesome opportunity for you to capture that regional draw that other areas aren't. For example, look at Salem. What do they have? They've got that 8,000 south, but only half of it. Spanish Fork has the other half, and they've been pushing all their stuff north. And so that area, and it's an awkward intersection, and there's the existing Revere Health and some of the other pieces, and so they put a lot of their eggs into that type of a basket where you've got great potential here. And so we've looked at these types of things to understand how this area can really make a name for itself. And so we've looked at some of those pieces as well. Hopefully that makes sense. Perfect.
But it also plays into that we cannot let the interchange stay half built.
And
we have to build the rest of it, or this falls all apart.
We're working very feverishly.
I'm just saying that's got to continue in the forefront.
Yep.
There's a lot of work being done on that side. So yeah, I wanted to give some simple comparisons here, just regionally interesting sites. So for example, the Payson Parkway, as we mentioned before, it's 181.2 acres. Fairly substantial, but what does that mean to people who don't look at plan view stuff all day, every day? Well, this is what it means. Springville is probably one of your closest size competitors, and it's up a little bit, but the 400 South interchange all the way to 950 West. So if you're familiar with that, that's the Walmart. And then if you go a little bit further, there's some vacant parcels, and then they have a Smith's. And so that's what we're talking about. And there's a little bit on the west side, but most of it's on the east with the Walmart and some of those other places around there. That's essentially the size that we're talking about. It's fairly substantial. There's quite a bit of commercial, quite a bit of tax sales that come in with that. Again, some on the west, some on the east, and then another sort of sub node, which is very similar to what we're proposing here, a neighborhood node and a regional node playing together. And so that's probably the best example in the greater region. We're looking at Spanish Fork as well, as far as the next larger scale commercial, and they've essentially given their whole I-15 frontage to commercial from Main Street all the way up to Highway 6 and beyond. We're not counting all of that as this because some of it's industrial and it goes beyond that, but generally it's 330 acres approximately for that commercial area, and some of it's blighted along their Main Street. It's been falling apart. It was a Shopco and then stayed vacant for quite a while, and then they've since recently filled it in again. But there's some areas that are struggling even in that, and so we feel that this 181 acres is a really sustainable, good amount of commercial that would really support the tax base.
The advantage we have between I-15 and everything that comes through, it's a major artery for the whole state. Yeah, they have SR6, but we can capture a lot of that on I-15.
Exactly. And an example of this, talking public transportation, for quite a while, Provo has been the furthest south frontrunner station. They still are, but there's in the works to pull those further south. So realistically, people from Nephi and further south go to that station. Well, you're essentially that furthest south commercial node. You're pulling people from the south up, where you'll be able to capture a little bit more of that. And that's what we're talking about. Early stage, yes, your capture rate might be a little bit low because commercial has to build out and residents have to come in and people have to understand, oh, that's where I go now instead of here. And so there's going to be some growing pains with that. But once it gets built out, you have amazing potential to double that capture rate, not the 35%, but 100% is what a good capture rate is. Like that's what you want because you're capturing everyone, but 200 and more percent to pull the greater region. So there's some great opportunities there. Another one, just for comparison, the 800 South interchange, that's approximately 80 acres. So we're a little bit more than double what's happening there. And that's sort of an area around existing development, not like there's more that's zoned, but the existing development, not vacant parcels. And so that's what that 80.6 is, just for reference point. Any question?
But the 181 is the sum of the
Regional
the two
and
nodes.
neighborhood. Yeah. Correct. So is that great? Any questions before we jump on? Because we'll move away from economics. Okay, excellent. Jumping into transportation, as we talked about a little bit, on the left-hand side, that is our active transportation plan. And then I love engineers. We work with them all the time, but sometimes their nomenclature of things are a little bit boring. It's the future functional classification map. That means a road map for everyone else. But essentially, you'll see in yellow is the UDOT facility. So that's the Payson Parkway Road. You'll see there's lighted intersections at key nodes, and then there's the right in, right out. That's what that black with the arrows is. You'll also see the classifications of these types of roads. So is it a minor arterial, major collector, minor collector, and so on. And so those pink ones are the less intense roads. green is the next intensity, and then obviously yellow is the most intense with the UDOT facility. So that's the transportation plan as far as road network. And then our tentative active transportation is this one on the left. And this is what we're talking about as far as the grade separation, meaning you don't cross at the road, you cross either under or over. And you'll see we've notated a few grade separated or underpasses that are key and strategic to make this work. And we're putting these on the plan for a few reasons. One of the major reasons is because if we show it on the plan and we continue to put that bug in UDOT's ear and we continue to push on it, it makes it harder for them to turn away from it.
If we don't have it there, they won't look at it.
They won't do it. Exactly. So yeah, thank you for that clarification. But so we're wanting to showcase those and be very persistent with these as well.
And the one thing that we all need to realize is that Payson Parkway will have to be built to UDOT standards for them to take it over eventually. They won't say they will take it over until a little later in the game, but it has to be built to their standards.
Correct. Any questions with these beautiful maps?
So exciting.
No offense, Travis. They're necessary.
I was thinking they're a little weird sometimes.
Well, I'm grateful to see, semi-grid system with
Yep.
straighter roads. That is something I'm very grateful for,
Yep.
actually.
Well, that's what the county's going to. I think that we need to be very
It's very smart.
consistent on that.
Yeah, and that that was part of the charrette one as we talked about this. What kind of a network are we looking? And obviously, as consultants come in, we're like, realistically, this is probably the one that's the most effective and the most working and the most workable. It gives you redundancy in access and redundancy in motion throughout the site. And so there's a lot of pros to having this type of grid network. It is, there was some challenges making it fit with existing grid networks just because here and then we're here. And so we're like, okay, how do we blend these together? And so that's what we were working through as well. And we were trying to connect existing road networks so that it's not like we're at 400, but then now we're on 1,000 and now it's at 800. It gets confusing. And so we were trying to keep a lot of those patterns similar or the same. So as they come through Payson, they are maintained as such.
Yeah, and there's a big push statewide for communities to come together where their borders are and have some connectivity there too.
Correct. And you'll see, like, yes, these lines end at the border, but they actually continue into Salem and the other parts of Payson as well. So we were trying to connect this and make it feel synergistic, but it's also set aside as its own. It's going to be a great place. So any questions with this? Wonderful. That's usually what I get. And that's a good sign of Travis doing his job. So it's great. Now we're going to get into the land use types. So you can understand these. Well, you may not like all the pictures. We've put a lot of different pictures in, but these are some of the pictures that we talked about earlier on and that groups were voting on. We also wanted to show when we go through land use allows city councils and planning commissions to make reflective decisions real time and that are adaptable. And what I mean by that is if I say in this plan that this is an R120, you know exactly what it's going to be, and it's harder to change. But if we give it this land use designation where you have a little bit of flexibility to say, well, this could be this based on X context that we don't know of yet, but is now prevalent 10 years down the road, it gives you a little bit of flexibility to adapt this area to meet its growing needs. And so that's why we address on this. As far as detached residential, it could be a myriad of things. The state lot, the traditional front loaded, meaning the garage is in the front leading towards the street, or it could be alley loaded, meaning there's an alley in the back and that's where the garage is. And so it's a little prettier facade. And so there's a few different things that we address here as far as the product types that are available here. bigger lots, medium lots, smaller lots, and those were addressed in that charrette and voted upon. And so we've taken that into consideration as well. We also gave a few precedent developments. So if you wanted to go and say, what are we talking about with this? What would be a good development that we could sort of mimic? And again, not all these are for everybody. We're not proposing Daybreak happen in Payson.
Thank you.
But
but there's elements of Daybreak that we
exactly,
Right.
and so
There's
you can
some nice
see
parts of Daybreak,
functional. Yeah.
Yep.
For example, they're very integrated with the water and things that they've created. We're looking at that for this area. We want to do that, and so there's some tie-in with that, and realistically, some of the architectural treatments and things, they look nice. Do I want the streets as narrow? Please no. And then we've talked about that, and so
Every street is a one-way street.
yeah, it's a little difficult, but we're just giving a few different opportunities. Viridian is a newer community that just happened in Salem. I don't know. You may know about it, may not know about it. It was the BYU Farms piece, and so that's being built out. They've got some really nice landscape treatments and facades and the way that they deal with some of their major roadways and things like that. Cobblestone Drive in Heber is another example where they've blended well with the wetlands that they were that are on that property. And it's so 40 comes through. It's a little bit west of that.
West of 40 and west of the city center.
Yeah.
North
yeah,
and-
one of the
north and
things
west of
about
city
the
center.
Daybreak that would be wonderful for us to be able to copy is that those water features. And
exactly,
because we have a problem with Bear Creek and different things that have an awful lot of just standing water, which would help with the smell and the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And if we can duplicate that, they've used some groundwater to help with that flow, and then it would go
Right.
into Utah Lake. Theirs goes into Salt Lake.
Yeah, and we've got low points, and when you hit a low point, water goes down, and if you're in the low point, it's got nowhere else to go, so it can get trapped. And so there's certain treatments that Daybreak does where they have fountains and things to keep the water moving, and it helps with algae, it helps with mosquitoes, it helps with standing water, it helps with a lot of different things. And so there's some treatment. Again, in none of these are we saying do exactly this. It's just here are some examples, some better case examples that you can look at to get a sense of that. So next we jump to the mixed residential, just so you can understand. This is a detached product, attached product. This could be front loaded product, alley loaded product. It could be townhomes, twin homes. It could be, you'll see on the right, there's sort of a garden cottage where they're attached product, or it could be detached product. It could be a traditional lot, which is a single family. It could be a rambler. It could be a duplex for senior product. There's a little bit wider range, but we're not looking at huge lot, and we're not looking at teeny, very attached lots. This is sort of a transition zone that allows you some flexibility and breathability between different areas. You'll typically see these. So there's commercial, and then there'll be some attached ring, and then this will sort of buffer that. And then we have significant detached product, which we saw on the last slide. Again, applicable zones are listed here. Daybreak's a great example of both the first one and the second one, just because they've got a lot of these types of developments there. Legacy Farms in Saratoga Springs has a little bit of this. There's a site called Rosecrest in Harriman where they have some innovative product types. Vineyard Town Center. I'm going to add a huge caveat to this. There are some really great pieces of this town center. There are some also some challenging pieces to access in Vineyard, and some areas that were done by development groups that I am not as fond of, that get very boxy. We're not talking about those. We're talking about the ones that sort of blend together. Flagship's done some good work in that town center in some of the areas. Some of the other groups that were partners in that I won't speak about here, but
some of those that I saw in Daybreak that I was impressed with is you can have the you can have the density without looking like density.
Exactly.
You'd never, ever guess that there was some density there. And it's very aesthetically pleasing.
It's about form. We're looking at the form instead of the exact land use. And when you look at that form, even the largest lots could look ugly if not treated well. Even the most dense product could look good if treated well. And so that's what we're talking about, that form, getting it right, making sure that we have a vision and that vision is met. That's key. Any project could look bad. Any project could look good if planned well and designed well. The last one on that is Farmington Greens. It's a little bit west. It's a little bit older of a development, but they have a nice blend between open space and some of the wetlands that come through there, and the uses and the integration between single family traditional lots and some alley load cottages and some other product. It's a interesting development that if you want to take a trip all the way up there, you can. It's a little bit further, but some of these other ones we try to keep closer. So it's easier to visit.
Can you go back one slide?
Yeah, for sure. To this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, we'll share this, so
Yeah.
you don't have to like
No, I
take
just
pictures with your
wanted to
mind.
see.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like I'm not attached to any of the photos. If there's photos you're like, I don't know if that's the right message we want to send, that's fine. Just let us know. Who cares? Then the attached residential, I don't think this one's shocking. It shares a wall. And we put a few different opportunities here of places that you could visit to say, okay, well, that's sort of what it could be, or that's sort of what it could be. That there's several different product types in there. And again, we'll share this. We do have a picture of the apartments. We hesitated to even show that because realistically, there was like 2 votes total on that. And there may be some locations that we talked about where a spot might make sense, but realistically, throughout the majority of this area, that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about attached.
Probably more applicable on the station area.
Right, exactly.
On the west side, northwest side of it.
Exactly. And as we talked about at the beginning, you've done that work in the station. You've done that work in some of these other locations. So this can be what you want it to be. And so it can be a more heritage type project. Jumping a little bit further, civic uses. We've talked about a few different things because there was civic components in this area that talked about, well, maybe our city hall can move there, or maybe we have a regional park, or maybe we do some of these other things. All of these are potentially on the table for this location. And so we show a few different civic examples where they've, Harriman City Hall, they have commercial and the civic center and a little park area integrated. Karen's Plaza, they've got some large greens and that's just a giant lawn. And there's some office surrounding it. And that one's a little bit more urban. So we put it on there because of the integration with the different uses. It's a neat and innovative way that they got it to work. It's also integrated with wetlands, and so that was sort of why we put that one in there. Logan Civic Center is a newer thing. They've got some rec. It's a block campus that has a lot of different facilities, including police and fire, and the city hall and some rec centers and things like that are all integrated in one block. Provo Rec Center. It's not that big of a building, but they've done a lot of good work with the space that they had to really integrate a lot of variety and demographic groups that can come together with that space. The West Jordan Civic Campus, it is a huge campus. They've got their regional park there. They've got a library facility there. We talked about that previously as what do people want. So maybe there's some opportunity to look at that and say, okay, well, they've got their city hall, they've got a park, they've got the police, fire, and a lot of facilities right there. Maybe something like this makes sense. Orem Civic Campus, with some of their updates that they've done. There you go, Orem. You got your one shout out as you're ever going to get from me. I used to work for Orem City. Yeah. We don't have enough time for that. But they've done some good things with their library, with the civic center, with the police, and some of the other things. They've got the park behind, and so there's some nice integration of how they've treated that. And so there's some opportunities for some positive things that happen throughout those areas. Neighborhood commercial. So again, I don't think we need to talk deep in any of these. We already did a fair amount with this one, but we've listed a few different precedent developments that you could look at. Riverwoods, Vineyard Town Center. They've got this nice, similar to that visioning image. They've got sort of that view down it, but it's on a street. So they've got a nice little piece to that commercial center that is anchored by the movie theater. Riverwood sort of has some of that with parking surrounding it and some other uses there. Mountain View Village is a little bit more of an urban take. It's got a nice facade treatment. So talking about that form again, they've done a really good job of transitioning a traditional strip mall type of a feel. Put the nicer boxes on the front and have done a great job with some of the landscaping to make it look elevated. And so there's some niceties to that one. Gardner Village is a little bit more boutique, and we had talked about that before. It might be a little bit too boutique for what we're talking about here, but it's still a great little spot that you can get some sense of how that could feel and look as well. And so there's a few different spots there. And again, the applicable zones and some images of what this could feel and look like. And then regional commercial, we touched on a few. Traverse Mountain, the district, Station Park, University Place. Some of these they've transitioned into a little bit more urban of a space, but generally, if we lessen the urban vibe to them, that's what we could look to. With you look at a University Place in, again, oh, I mentioned Orem twice in this. Wow, that's something. But they've got some of the park space on the back side, and they've done some nice treatments to reinvigorate that. And so some of those things to make it a place is what we're talking about with University Place. The Meadows, they have some nice areas where they've really integrated well with the wetlands and things. Station Park, again, is sort of like Mountain View Village, where they've done some nice sort of integrated development. Civic Center could be part of something like that. Traverse Mountain is a little bit more traditional with nicer takes on the front and some interesting architecture and things. And so there's a few places to look to for that. And then again, the applicable zones. Open space, it's no wonder we've got a lot of images about trails and open spaces. And what's an open space plan if you didn't put at least one picture of a pickleball court? But there's some opportunities for urban fisheries or the lakes and the open space system like we talked about in Daybreak, the canal trails like in Murdoch and Jordan River. There's really nice treatments of how they've just put those along all the waterways and really made a nice network there. And then Nelson Grove, oh my goodness, I'm on a roll here. That's a third mention for Orem. Jeez. But they got a nice park on the south side behind the Walmart and some of those places. It's a very passive park, but they've got a fishery and some other things that it's a nice treatment. It's a little bit older of a park, but they've got some nice pavilions and things like that. So,
and you mentioned Daybreak. They have canoe rentals. They
exactly.
let the
So they actually optimize or sort of turn their open space into some marketing and tax and revenue generation. Wardell Fields is probably one of the coolest splash pads in the state. There's actually some cooler ones in the south, but that one's pretty cool as a regional park and some of the uses that they have there. They've also used some of their fields to generate some revenue as well. So, and then just in closing, some of those images again. So that is everything. I think I went a little long. I apologize for that.
Oh, we appreciate the detail.
Yeah. Any questions or concerns or ideas, or we missed something?
Thank you. It was really good. I really did like that. And I just want to, continue to hammer home this end of Payson. Let's really make sure that there's a clean line of Salem versus Payson. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but I want people to feel different and
Yep.
know it's different when
Yep.
they enter Payson boundaries. And
Not,
we do that
not
by
a bad different, just a
just
very
a
good
different.
different.
Yeah. And we do that by design elements and by zoning that makes sense. And I do want to put the density where it makes sense, closer to corridors and freeways, and then we can eliminate that and phase that out, especially as we go south of 198 and do
Correct.
bigger lots and bigger homes. And so let's really utilize the water that we have there too, and really make that a focal point and a beautification element for that area.
Right now, we've got a problem with one of the developments with mosquito and the smell because of the Bear Creek and Bear Creek.
Yeah.
And, you know, we need to accentuate that and make it an asset, not a detriment.
Right. And it can become a detriment and a problem if not thought through. So yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And obviously the density level also plays into the quality of life for our residents too.
True.
And so we want to always put that first. And
And that's where we're gonna have to swallow a little bit. I hope not much, but where we negotiate with the state.
Yeah. And realistically, you have treated other areas with that state mandate in mind. And so we have realistically to put a traditional single family detached home behind a regional commercial center, not a great idea. And so we had to have some of that buffer. It just has to exist because to sell some of those units, it's not easy. And so you want those transitions, but you want them to be quick, not in the treatment of it, but you want it to transition fairly quickly so that you can keep the majority of this area what this group has talked about and what it has envisioned. So that's what we're trying to do throughout that process. So.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for all the work that you've done. You really truly took into consideration everything that we were saying, the feel that we want to stay true to here. I really think we have a wonderful opportunity to differentiate Payson from all the other surrounding communities. I want to make sure that we do things that bring people here instead of going to Spanish Fork, meaning let's have uniqueness here so people come here on purpose.
Yep.
Not because they have to.
Not and
Because they want
also
to.
that too, but I mean, we don't want to look like Spanish Fork. They're different. They have different stuff. Let's have different stuff here so people come here on purpose. So they're thinking, hey, let's go to Payson because they have different things and they have a different feel. And I really, really love the concept drawings. I love all the green space and the water and even the looks of the homes because it was different and it was beautiful. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, we really do appreciate. Dan, thank you for being here. These are excellent men, excellent resources. I get to interact with them a fair amount. So I really do appreciate their dedication to what they do and what they can do for us. So the Planning Commission, thanks for being here. It's really nice to be able to engage with you guys as we each do our roles, and we can work together. So appreciate it. We to that point where, or do we? What do you want? Anything to do?
No.
Provided enough.
Yeah, I've gotten the feedback. I didn't foresee anything drastic as far as a change because we feel like as we've talked with this group and talked with staff, we have a pretty good finger on our pulse of what is needed and what is wanted here. And so I feel like we were on target. We wanted to have this meeting just to make sure that we're still all together moving forward. And so it's not like, wait, what have you done? You did that? So we just want to make sure. So that's
you took what we suggested and made it a reality, in my opinion.
And what a good confirmation that the Planning Commission and City Council, we really do see eye to eye in a lot of things and how we want Payson to grow and the quality of life to improve for our residents. And what a great thing that was. We trust you and appreciate you, Planning Commission.
Absolutely. Okay, we really do. Are we to the point where we want to do the adjournment?
Yes.
Anders and Jill, thank you for what you do. You're very integral in this project. We really are, and we've been studying it for years, and it's getting very, very exciting to see some of these things come into fruition, and so thank you. Okay, I'm ready for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say
Aye.
thanks again.